What's up guys, it's Lady Calysta. Today we are doing a first look of the brand new IGG game called Mobile Royale. Now, this game, I think it came out a couple of weeks ago. They released it in different countries first, so I believe it was more in countries in the Asia region, I think maybe New Zealand and Australia, I'm not quite sure, but in the US, North America, South America, I think most of Europe, it has been released in the past few days, so everyone should have it accessible via Apple and iOS. Now, full disclaimer, this video is not sponsored or in any way affiliated with IGG. I am going to give you guys my honest thoughts. What I want to focus kind of in this video is truly giving you guys a first look. And also, I know a lot of you guys are freaking experts when it comes to this type of game, right? Like, you've played Lords Mobile, you might have played Rise of Civilizations, you might have played Iron Throne. So I'm gonna skip through a lot of the stuff that nobody cares about, that you all just know, right, from being experts, and I'm going to talk about the things that are different in this game. So while I was talking, you guys probably noticed the initial cutscene. I wanted to show that to you guys. Look and feel, I'm going to try basically talk about this game the way that I talk about all new games, and I'm going to break it out in different categories. So for me, the look and feel, it reminds me a lot of Iron Throne meets Lords Mobile, and then it just gives me this weird WoW feel. WoW meaning World of Warcraft. So not necessarily in this particular scene, but when you see some of the characters later on, like the elf archer, and you see some of the cutscenes that they created, it definitely gives you this like grand kind of like World of Warcraft feel to the whole thing. It is a game very, very similar to Lords Mobile. You are dealing with a castle, you are dealing with resources, you are dealing with territory, and you're basically leveling yourself up. You can see I leveled my castle from level 1 to level 2. Now, I filmed this video in a span of 24 hours. I just started playing this game exactly 24 hours ago. I boosted like crazy to be able to unlock as many things as possible so I could show you guys what it looks like. So before you guys decide you want to make an investment from either a time perspective or a money perspective, I've kind of done that for you so you can figure that out. And I wanted to show you guys not necessarily, hey, this is what it looks like when you're level like 1 through 5, but more so what does it look like when you're past level 10 and past level 15. So what I did in those 24 hours is basically, and you can see the cutscene guys that I was talking about here, like, does that not give you World of Warcraft feels for those of you guys that have played it, or Order in Chaos, like those kind of like grandiose epic role-playing games, right? Those are, and then here we have a cutscene of a dragon. So big difference between Lords Mobile and Mobile Royale is there's dragons in the game, right? And that's probably reminding you guys of some of the other games that we've reviewed on this channel, right? Iron Throne definitely uses the dragon. There is a dragon in this game. The dragon sits on your chapel, and I'm going to talk to you guys in a little bit more detail. I just wanted to show you guys the cutscene here, but I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about what he does and the various ways that you have of basically leveling him up. You basically use shards, and you're able to help him get additional skills, which is kind of cool, and those skills can be used from a defensive perspective. So you can kind of see it there. It's not like you're playing as a dragon or anything like that, or you have any VR type of capability in this like you do in Iron Throne. You don't. It definitely serves a more passive purpose, but there's a dragon. I will say there's also chapters, not a big surprise there. You guys are familiar with this. They work exactly the same way that they work in Lords Mobile, in that you're basically going through these chapters. Now, here is the very unique way of fighting these things, because unlike Lords Mobile, you are fighting with your heroes, but you also have battalions. So here you can see my enemy has 2 infantry, 1 range, and you can see then you can basically decide what you want to counter with, right? So I believe I decided to counter with full infantry then, because infantry versus infantry is a wash, and then infantry is stronger than range. So it just made sense from a counter perspective, and you can kind of see how it works here. So I think that part is different from Lords Mobile, and it makes it a little bit more interesting. I'll be totally honest with you guys, I don't enjoy the chapter part of Lords, and I never have, and I don't enjoy the chapter part of basically any game. To me, that's like this side questy type of thing that's not really my gig, but you know, you have to do it, because just like Lords, this is really the only way to get the medals that you need to level up the heroes, especially the free-to-play heroes, obviously, right? So you're able to do a couple of things. You can make it run on auto, which I think is kind of cool, because like I told you, sometimes I'm just gonna grind some of these, and especially if I haven't done them in a while, I'm just gonna have them kind of like automatically running. And if I'm doing that, then I'm going to basically want to use auto. Sometimes if I don't beat a round or a level on auto, I might try it manually just to see if that works better. And maybe I just need to play with the composition. Obviously with this, there's a lot of different things that you can think about, right? Composition is obviously really important. And I think the fact that you can decide what type of battalions, those are groups of soldiers that are either going to be infantry, range, or cavalry, do make it a lot more interesting. So similar to Lores, you're going to have your normal chapters, but you also have your elite chapters. This is where you can basically go, press quick clears, and you're basically able to quickly clear any of the elites that you already passed in order to be able to get additional medals. And I will say the easiest way to rank up in might here is leveling up your heroes. This is my hero, and I wanted to show you this, guys, because please do not make fake accounts with my name on them and pretend to be me. I've mentioned this a million times. It is absolutely disheartening to see that, and I really hate when people do it and try to ask for resources or ask to get in a guild where they don't belong or ask for special favors. Like, I just hate that so much. So you guys can see I have the name Lady Calysta. It has a space in it. It has a space, you guys. I am 2 million might at this point. I'm probably going to be bigger tomorrow, right? I am Castle 17, and I am in the guild called Dart. Now, what I'm scrolling through here are the heroes. There are quite a bit of heroes that you can get. And again, as I was scrolling through, I'm like, it just gives me this like vibe of World of Warcraft, which I really like. In the spirit of talking about things that are different, let's talk about the barracks. So these are the barracks, and there are 4 tiers of troops. You have basically your veterans. Those are T4. I have not unlocked those. You have T1, which is militia. T2 are rookies, and T3 are troopers. I went ahead and unlocked T3. I will tell you, it was a grind to death. For the 24 hours I played, probably more than I've ever played Lords in one 24-hour period in my life. But there are 4 tiers of troops, and you're going to notice that you don't have the ability to decide how many range you're going to make, or how many infantry, or how many cavalry. That's not how the game works. You are basically creating troops in general, and then when you're deciding to attack, that's when you figure out how many battalions you're going to have that are infantry versus range versus cavalry. So huge difference from Lords Mobile in terms of the troop composition piece and troops in general, but I thought it was actually a very nice change, and it adds something different to the game, which I think is super important when you're dealing with a game that is in absolutely the same genre, right, as the other kind of flagship game from IGG, which is Lords Mobile. Here I'm just showing you guys the hive. As I mentioned, I'm in the guild call with the tags of Dart, D-A-R-T. I am in Kingdom 4, in case I haven't mentioned that. And I'm just giving you guys a lay of the land. So a lot of these things that I'm just scrolling through are typical for us, right? We have resource tiles, no surprise there. We have monsters, no surprise there. Not going to go into it a whole lot of detail, but what I was looking for was basically a castle that was unshielded. Because this kingdom is literally like a couple of days old, there's not a whole lot of unshielded castles, right? Because they're still under that protection. But here you can see the army setup, and this is where I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit. So you can see the types of troops that I have there, right? Now, if you go to Army and Hero, on the very top, you're going to see the sword, which is infantry, the horse is cav, and obviously the bow and arrow are your archers. And where it says brigade, those are basically the types of troops that I'm going to send out. Now remember, when we're training, we're just training troops. We're not training troop type anymore in this game. So I'm going to decide what types of troops I'm going to send by deciding on the brigade. Now it is very, very important to make sure that the heroes that you're sending complement your brigade. If you're going to send 2 brigades of full infantry, so basically a full infantry march, please, just like in Lords, do not send range heroes, do not send cavalry heroes, send infantry heroes. If you're sending a mix like I'm doing here with infantry and cavalry, I'm going to want to make sure that my heroes are infantry and cavalry, okay? So important thing to call out, if you guys like this video, I will make more kind of detailed explanations. I'll do some tests, we'll have a lot of fun, right? But that's it in a nutshell. Now what I want to show you guys here is this is how the march works. Now check out how expensive it is to increase the speed of your march. That's a lot of gems. Like, no joke. Like, I was like, whoa. So you're gonna notice that I will walk those 4 minutes, and I will not speed to them. I will not speed them, because it is quite expensive in the game to use speeds. Speeds, teleporters, all those things feel really expensive, especially in the beginning, right? Because this is early game. Here, while I'm marching to my target, I decided to show you guys my guild, because again, if you are trying to figure out where exactly I am in the game, I am in Kingdom 4. I am in a guild with the tags DART, and we're called Rough Riders. You can see we're already up to gift level 8. And quite frankly, we are the strongest English-speaking guild in Kingdom 4. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking about playing the game, might want to join. I will say it is a very competitive guild. It can hold 150 people. Our poor R5, who, by the way, says Canada is the greatest country in the world, has been kicking players literally nonstop every single hour. So if you're inactive or you're not growing, he basically has to make room, and here's the reason why. So we do have very, very strong players. Even though the kingdom has only been open for a day or 2 days, I think, we have players, we have the strongest player in the kingdom in our guild, right? You can see there I'm sitting in position number 13, very lucky or unlucky depending on who you ask, and I am 2 million might. The minimum requirement to join Rough Riders, guys, is 1 million might. I have been asked to specifically let you guys know that. I think they're terrified that they're gonna get a lot of additional requests. We do have a guild, a sister guild that we have created for accounts that are smaller. We just created it based on need. A lot of people wanted to kind of be part of the family, so we created this additional guild. I will let you guys know and see what that guild page looks like in case you're interested, and that's a good guild for you if you're going to be free to play, if you want to just enjoy the game and at a more leisurely pace. I will say in our alliance, it is pretty intense. Here I'm showing you guys the attack finally happened, yay, and you can kind of see what the battle report looks like. So that's why I wanted to do this, to just show you guys. I know some of you guys are going to be calling me a bully, blah blah blah, but we've literally been playing the exact same time, myself and this person, Desert Storm, so I don't feel overly bad. And quite frankly, like, this is, most castles are going to be around this size, and some of the bigger ones, we're actually allied with the largest alliance in the kingdom, and I'll show you guys who that is so you guys can take a look. Now, here I'm showing you guys, this is our sister guild. This is a D4RT, so basically DART, but instead of an A, you have a 4. So if you are under 1 million might, but you still want to be part of the family, you can feel free to apply here. And this is going to be, again, Kingdom 4, and I will not be creating any alts in this game. I will not have any additional accounts. You heard it here. Do not believe anyone that says they're me. I will tell you guys, DART, when I first applied, I obviously had my name, Lady Calysta, and they made me confirm via Instagram, because they were like, are you really her? Can we make sure that that's you? And I totally appreciate it. I'm always down for that. I love the confirmation, because I detest people pretending to be me to get benefits, right? Like, that is totally my pet peeve. What I'm showing you guys here are just the additional guilds that are out there within K4. There's a lot of active guilds, and you can see right now we are in 3rd place from a guild my perspective. The first guild is Russian, the second Korean, and then comes us. So when I said strongest English speaking guild, in fact, that is the case. And I went ahead, and obviously when I was applying to guilds, I wanted to make sure I was in a place with a lot of experienced players. I will say our R5 is a former member of the Joker family from MJ. We have people from HAH here. So lots of familiar people that know the game really, really well, right? Which is nice, because the questions that we're asking are really the intricacies that are very different from this game and Lords, as opposed to how do I play the game, right? So we're starting from a very different place. When I think back when I first started Lords, some people had come from Game of Thrones, not a whole lot, not Game of Thrones, I'm sorry, Game of War, not a whole lot, but it still felt like the majority were very confused. Not the sense here at all. There's a ton of people that have played Lords Mobile before. I would say the vast majority, which makes it really easy. Now, this is where I'm like tickled pink to tell you guys. You notice I clicked on the hospital, and you notice I only had one hospital. What does that mean? I'm gonna tell you guys, there's only one hospital, there's only one manor, and there are only one building of each resource in the game. So very different to Lords. They only have one of each. I promised you guys I'd talk to you about the chapel. This is the dragon. I wanted to show you guys, you know, what does it do? So there's different types of shards. There's light shards, there's earth shards, wind, water, fire, and you basically collect these shards through playing, through fulfilling different chapters, and then as you get the right types of shards, you're able to basically evolve that skill. And I'm showing you guys there what it looks like. The skills can be very, very different from one another. Some of them can be more administrative, like construction. Some of them can be more attack based. And they all have these kind of like elements. So it felt very much like Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's kind of what it reminded me of, which is cool. Another thing I want to mention, big difference. Check out the lab, you guys. 1 day return rate of 20%. Like, what? The fact that you can, like, and I checked and I did it, and you can, it totally works. Like, I am not sure how much longer IGG will keep this up, but this is huge, right? My lab is like dirt low because, again, I was trying to move really quickly, but I'm assuming as you improve the lab, you can put in more gems, and a 20% return date for just putting in your gems for 24 hours is absolutely massive. And that is something that I am sure is not going to stay in the game that much longer because it's that good. And as I mentioned before, only one manor, only one resource building of each type. Like Lords Mobile, there is food, there is stone, there is wood, there is gold. You can see each of the buildings there. So some of the questions that people have are like, well, how are you going to hyper resources? The way that I see it at this point, and keep in mind, I'm trying not to watch a bunch of videos and stuff myself. I'm kind of learning as I go. That makes it more fun for me, and kind of learning with my guild. I don't necessarily see an overly easy way, other than obviously there's gear in the game, making gear that hypers that particular type of resource, setting a boost for that resource, and then just making sure that that resource is basically leveled as high as possible, because you can only have one of them so far. Where I am right now, and you guys can see I mentioned it before, I am Castle 17, so that's kind of where I am at the moment in terms of what I can see. Here I'm basically showing you guys a little bit of the hive. You can see there's orange, or basically castles that are not part of our hive, but they are part of our sister hive. So as I mentioned before, both guilds are very close. Here is Rogue Frank. He's actually the highest might player in the kingdom, so wanted to show you guys kind of his account and his gear. You can see he had a lot of golden gear. Another thing that's super different is we have a floatress, which is like a floating fortress. Very clever, and this is awesome, right? So basically your leadership is going to allow you to activate some of these things. So once they decide to activate a training ground, for example, you're able to go in there as a guild, right? I think it can hold, let's see, 35 participants, and it will basically say, like, do you want to participate? Yes. And then it'll basically give you options in terms of what types of troops do you want to train. Is it T1, T2, T3? So I picked T3, and then it'll basically give me a cost. You can see I'm training 3,300 there, and it gave me a cost of 1,000,000 stone, which honestly is not that terrible. And you can see the speed increase is 75%. So when you do this, right, you're able to get this tremendous increase in speed from a training perspective, which is huge. It is so, so, so helpful, because the time it takes to train in this game is sick. Like a batch of T3, like 2K T3 at my current percentages takes like 22 hours. It's a lot. And even though we have like helps obviously don't necessarily aid in that, but like helps in general, if you're thinking about how to help your construction or your research go faster, it's like minuscule, because I'm in an alliance that is super duper kind of into the game, and they're very, very active. So I'm getting helps basically in a minute. I filled my help bar, and it's not super helpful. Here I'm showing you guys Sacred Fluff. She is awesome, or Scared Fluff, I'm sorry. She's fantastic. She's the R4 of the Alliance, has her hands absolutely full as she's helping R5 kind of schlep people in and out of the Alliance. Has been tremendously helpful to me personally. She's helped me so much with stone. I am so thankful. I never asked, but she is just so kind. So wanted to give her kind of a little special shout out in the video. Another thing to mention are the villages that exist in the game. So that's different from Lords. There are villages that you can occupy or conquer, and they can give you different things, like different boosts. This one is giving you a player EXP boost of 5%. So if you occupy that, you're basically getting additional experience. Here is a production village, so it's going to give you a boost of 20%. So as we were talking about, how do we potentially hyper resources here, that's probably helpful, right? Like if you want to hyper stone, make sure you have a maxed out stone building, get a stone village, and kind of layer on those additional boosts, and that's probably how you're going to have to hyper in the game. But if you guys are interested, I can always create a video and make sure I figure it out first before I come back and tell you. Here is the map of the game. You can see there are a lot more forts than there are in Lords Mobile. I decided to show you guys the capital. That's the reason that I wanted to show you guys is how long is it protected? Well, it is protected for 97 days and 16 hours. So a little over 3 months it's going to be protected. I think that's kind of on par with Lords. I thought that Lords protection was 90 days. I might be wrong. I don't remember, being totally honest. I started playing the game 2.5 years ago now. So it's been a long time. So you guys probably know better than I do and can correct me in the comments in terms of how long protection in Lords lasts. But I feel like it's probably on par, right, with what they're doing here. So kingdoms do get protected. However, until you hit castle level 6, you do have the opportunity to migrate. So as long as you haven't boosted up above level 6, you can migrate to another kingdom if you need to. Wanted to show you guys the Moonlit Fort. Forts work the same way, right? You can see it's not occupied. Nobody owns it. This would give you range. I think it was attack and HP. And then lastly, there are cities on the map, and you guys might be wondering what the cities are. And this is another piece that is totally different. We have a merchant airship in our castle. So what does this do? Well, you have the opportunity to exchange resources, which is cool because that's something we've always asked for, right? And then lastly, you can also trade with different cities. So you can see the cities there, and it will give you an idea of what you can offer in order to trade for specific items, right? So if you need pulleys for diplomacy, or you need honey for research, or whatever it is, you're able to basically figure out which city has it and then send your merchant airship off. I will say the travel times can be pretty lengthy. Sometimes they'll be an hour, sometimes they'll be way more than an hour. But it is something totally new and different to the game. Pretty cool. I appreciate the differences. I think I appreciate the differences just like a typical Lords player would. Again, this is my hero. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have questions below. What topics you're interested in seeing. Are you playing the game? What kingdom are you in? And some of your initial thoughts. Would love to hear from you in the comment section. And as usual, thank you so much for watching.